everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you very much for all your lovely words in my last videos of this series, Learn to Knit Continental. We've done cast-ons, bind-offs, different combination of knit stitches and post stitches to create ribbing, more like elasticated texture, or to create the moss stitch, the seed stitch. I've showed you some fake cables in my previous video, and I think that there are hundreds and hundreds of different combinations of knit stitches and post stitches that you could work, and there's many books with that. So I figured that it's helpful if I show you something that is very helpful when you try to create lace or a garment. And that's why I've got this weird looking piece of fabric here. It's decreases and increases video today, and you'll need this for the future. If you want to knit lace, you'll need the increases and decreases, or if you want to knit garments to decrease, like on the crown of a hat, you would have to do decreases, or sleeves of a sweater, you will need decreases, and for a v-neck sweater as well. And I figured it's very helpful for the future videos that we're going to work on soon. So I did a cast on of, I think, 20 or 22 stitches here, and then as you can see on the right side I've done left leaning decreases, and as you can see there's a column of V's that go this way. That's making this fabric edge to go towards the left, and then on this side we've got the column of V's going diagonally to create shaping towards the right. And in the middle here you will see a column of V's going straight up with these side ones going towards it. That's a center double decrease, which is very helpful when you're trying to knit a lace, like a leaf lace pattern. And then for the increases, I've done on this side, see if you can tell, this side here I've got right, make one right, so it's kind of like from this column of V's there's a baby stitch that starts like a branch going that way. And on this side, this is the column of V's before the make one left. And then in the middle I've done some yarn overs which create these holes in the fabric, and that's again very helpful when you're knitting a leaf pattern or a flower pattern. And on this side I've done a KFB, which is knit front back, and it creates a little pearl bump, which is decorative for a raglan sweater, would be really nice. But again, it's an increase. So I want to show you how to work all these in this video as slow as I can, and I'll try to explain it as best as I can to be helpful for everyone. All right, let me get some yarn ready here, and we're going to start with decreases. I'm going to knit my first stitch just so I have an edge, and now I'm going to do a left leaning decrease, which is also called an SSK, which means I'm going to go in my first stitch as if to knit and take it off the needle, go in the second stitch as if to knit and take it off the needle. So that's slip one, SS, and then I'm going to knit those two together. So what I'm going to do is put this left needle through both of my stitches, and as you can see my right needle is in the back leg of the two stitches, so I'm going to knit them together through the back loop. So grab my yarn and knit them together, and that made a left leaning decrease or an SSK. All right, I'm going to show you that again and again, don't worry. So I'm going to just knit another one there. And let's try an SSK again. I'm going to slip one stitch as if to knit, slip a second stitch as if to knit, then I'm going to put my left needle through both of the front legs of those two stitches, and then I'm going to grab my yarn and pull it through both stitches through the back loop. That's a slip, slip, knit. Let's knit to the center double decrease. Oh, sorry. Okay, so now I want to do a central double decrease, or an S2KP. That's another way to write it in patterns. I'm going to go not in my first stitch, but in my second stitch here, and I'm gonna slip those two stitches of my needle as if to knit. So that's S2, slip 2. Then I'm going to go to this stitch here and I'm going to knit it. So that's S2K, slip 2, knit. Then with my left needle, I'm going to go in the two stitches that I just slipped, and I'm going to pass them over the stitch that I just knitted. And that created this double decrease. So I decreased two stitches in one go, and it's a central double decrease. Okay, let me knit a couple stitches, and now I'm going to show you a right leaning decrease or a knit two together, which is simple pretty much. That means I'm going to go in my second stitch, so not this stitch but the second one. I'm going to go through both stitches, grab my yarn and pull it through, and that's knit two together. Let's try it again. So I'm going to go in the second stitch, so not the first one but the second, to knit through both of them, to knit two together. So that is a right leaning decrease or knit two together. Okay, I'm going to knit my edge stitch, and now I need to purl across these. Okay, let's go again and do the SSK. So I'm going to knit my first stitch, and then we're going to slip, slip, knit, or SSK. So I'm going to slip one stitch, slip the second stitch, go through both of them with my left needle and knit them through the back loop. That is an SSK. Knit another one and do another SSK again. Slip, slip, go through both of them and knit through the back loop. Okay, I'm going to knit one, and we're going to do another central double decrease. So I'm going to go in my second stitch here, through both stitches as if to knit, and slip them off my needle. Then I'm going to go in the third stitch to knit it. Then I'm going to go through the slipped stitches, both of them together, to pass them over the stitch that I just knitted. And that created my double central decrease. As you can see, the V is in the middle, and then the two stitches kind of hide behind it. Okay, now we're going to do knit two together. So I'm going to go start with my second stitch here. From that stitch, I'm going to go into the first stitch and knit them together. That's a knit two together. Let's try it again. So I'm going to go in my second stitch and put my needle through both stitches and knit them together. That's knit two together, decrease. Okay, And as you can see, the work it's kind of starting to change shape because we have less stitches up here. Let me just quickly purl these stitches. If you're interested to know how to purl, I will link the videos down below in the playlist with all the videos we've done in the past about that we learn all these cool stitches, combinations of knit and purls. Alright, now we're going to do make one right. So I'm going to knit my first stitch. Let me knit another one. Okay, and to make one right, and this is quite an invisible increase, you just see from the column of V's another column of V's popping out like a branch. And the way to do that is you're going to go in this bar in between the two stitches. Can you see this horizontal bar? And with your right needle you're going to pick it up, and from the front towards the back like this, you're going to place it on your left needle. And then it's a little bit hard, but you get used to it. You're going to go in the front leg and knit it through the front leg like that. And we just created a new stitch that is going to attach to the column of stitches here. Okay, shall we try again? So when you start this, you might want to stretch your work a little bit so you can see the bar in between the two stitches. So you want to go in under that bar and pick it up, as you can see, place it on your needle from front to back like that, and then through the front leg of your stitch you're going to go in, grab your yarn and pull through to knit it. That's make one right. And then I want to show you how to do a knit front back, and this is the kind of stitch that you do more in a textured, because it's in a texture fabric, because it's quite visible. You will have a little purl bump on your fabric that will kind of show you where the V will start to form. They will start from that little scarf that the stitch has around it. That's because we're going to knit front and knit through the back of the loop. So this is how we're going to work it. I'm going to go in the stitch to knit one to the front, and then I'm going to keep that stitch on my needle and then go through the back leg of that stitch to knit another one. So we done two knit stitches in one, and that second one that we did creates that little wrap around our stitch that gives it the texture, so it's not an invisible increase. Then I'm going to knit one, and I'm going to show you how to do a yarn over, which is the most simple increase that you can do, but it's very, very visible because it creates a hole in your fabric. So the way to do it is just wrap your yarn around your needle like this, and then you continue knitting. So when you come on the wrong side, you're just going to purl it, and as you can see, it creates a hole in your fabric. But now I want to show you how to do a left leaning increase, which is an invisible one. So it kind of mirrors this one that we started with. So in a raglan sweater that you want to do increases on both sides of the raglan stitch, you would do make one right and make one left to mirror each other, and that is quite invisible, so it's a good one to know. The same way like make one right, we're going to go in between the columns of stitches and pick up that bar, but instead of putting it from front to back like we did first, we're going to come from the back to the front like that, and then we're going to go in the back loop of the stitch and knit one in there. That's make one left. And we're going to do it again. So we're going to pick up that bar in between the column of stitches. From back to front, we're going to place it on our left needle, and then we're going to go in the back leg of that, kind of like a yarn over, and knit it. That is make one left. Now I'm going to purl all those and show you one more time. So as you can see, I'm at my yarn over that I've done, the decorative increase, and I'm just going to purl it. That created a hole in my work, but from then on I will have a column of stitches going up. Okay, our weird looking piece of fabric is looking weirder and weirder, but at least we're learning something. Okay, so back to make one right. I'm going to knit my 2 stitches here, actually 3, and as you can see, this is the make one right that we've done in the previous right side row, and I stretched my work quite a bit here for you to see, but as you can see from this column of V's, this one starts to branch out. Let's do another one. So we're going to go in that bar between them two, lift it up from front to back. I'm going to put it on my needle, and then I'm going to knit it through the front loop. Oops. Don't worry, we'll try that again. Knit 1, knit 2. Let's do another one then. So I'm going to go in that bar from front to back, put it on my needle, and then knit it through the front leg. Make one right. Then I'm going to knit a couple, and now I want to do a KFB, which is knit from back. I split that stitch. I'm going to go in the front of the stitch as if to knit, and I'm going to knit 1. I'm going to keep that stitch on my left needle and go through the back leg of that stitch and knit another 1, and then I can take it off my needle, and that's a KFB or knit from back. We've done 2 stitches in 1. So one thing you need to remember is that this kind of increase uses up a stitch, so you have to be careful when you substitute it in patterns. This make one right and make one left uses the bar in between the 2 stitches, so it doesn't use up a stitch. If you're trying to substitute make one right with a KFB, you have to be very careful because your count number of stitches will change because you're using up a stitch. So I suggest that as a beginner you just stick with the increases that the pattern tells you to do. All right, I'm going to knit 1, and then I'm going to do another yarn over. As you can see, this is the previous yarn over we've done. So just wrap your yarn around the needle like that, and then continue knitting. And now we're ready to make one left, and I'm going to stretch my work a little bit to find that bar here. I'm going to lift that bar and bring it from back to front on my left needle, and then I'm going to go through the back leg and knit it. There we go. Let me knit a couple more, and I'm going to try that one again. Okay, I found the bar between the column of stitches. I'm going to lift it up and put it on my left needle, and I'm going to go through the back of that stitch to knit it. That is make one left. And that is pretty much all you need to know as a beginner knitter about decreases and increases. You don't need to know more than that to start with. Now my my work is looking a little bit like a tulip with a skirt. I hope that you found this video helpful. Let me know what you think and let me know what you're gonna use it for. And I can't wait to start teaching you some lace stitches with a combination of these increases and decreases that we learned here today. And thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!